So, hi everybody. I just want to give you an official warm welcome to this motivational webinar organized by Brain Matter and Lifebooks Associate. So, I'm Phoebe, I'm your host and also the principal of Brain Matter. So, if you guys don't know, Brain Matter is a tuition center that focuses on academic excellence, but yet at the same time, a lot about character development. And that's why we're organizing this webinar because we believe that the success of a child is not just dependent on the grades, but also how they manage the non-gradable parts of their life, like motivation, resilience, and etc. Those are the things that we're going to talk about today. So, first of all, I just want to thank all of you for signing up. I know that this is a really difficult period for everyone, managing your work and your child's home-based learning. And during any difficult times that we always have got two options. We can either look outwardly and complain, like, why is my kid so terrible? Why are they not focusing? And why do I always have to nag? Or you can also look inwardly and ask yourself, okay, so now this is the situation like that. How can I manage it? And how can I grow myself to help my child along? So I just want to congratulate all of you for choosing the the part of looking inward and to see how you can grow from this situation. So, how are we going to do this webinar? Okay, so we actually have a few questions indicated by some of you on our Google form, and we are picking up the more common ones, and our coach is going to answer them. But don't worry, if you have any questions during while you are attending this webinar, at the end of the session, we will still have some Q&A. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just want to introduce the coach and the speaker of today's webinar. Okay, so he is Darren and he's here with us, and he has been coaching our parents and students in Brain Matter. And he has been involved in coaching, training, conference speaking for the past 30 years. So he speaks about overcoming challenges, transformational leadership, personal mastery, and enriching relationships and innovative change as well. So he's very passionate about helping the individual to achieve an integrated life with their work and life synergy, and to achieve optimal fulfillment. But more than all this credential, I've actually known Darren and his wife, Angela, for more than 20 years. And they have been my mentors. And amazingly, they are also the one who encouraged me and supported me to start my tuition center, Brain Matter, 9 years ago. So I personally believe that, everyone will be in a good treat tonight. So without further ado, I'll just welcome Darren to just start off this webinar. Darren,
okay. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for those kind words. Well, she's done a great job in introducing me. Let me say this, my primary training has been in social work. So I approach motivation from a holistic perspective instead of a linear perspective, do this and do that. That's more useful because it's more sustainable, and you can see all the different factors that go into motivation beyond what we normally think about. Well, the reason why we want to do this is because of this COVID-19 situation. All of us are at home and working from home, and our children are also on home-based learning, and this is a challenge for us because never been done before. We have to manage the children and also our own work at home. I mean, very lightheartedly, I saw this meme in Facebook, which a teacher says to the parents, now, haha, now you know how tough it is to be a teacher. And I think by now, all the parents realize that it's really, really challenging to step in the role of a teacher, because we've been doing that for the good 1 month. But good news or not so good news, because the home-based learning is going to end. A lot of people think it's good news, but it's actually not. Now the children don't have things to do, and they can't go out, and you still have to work from home. And so it's going to be another level of challenge. And so we this is more than ever before. This is important, that how can we help our children be self-motivating and as well as focus on their studies, because that will help us also get onto the business of working from home. we want to do this free because in this vein, I think one thing that we learn in this whole season is that we all depend on one another. We don't have to monetize everything, and we just want to pay it forward. So whatever I'm going to share with you are things that people do pay good money for, and I hope that it will help you. And all I ask is that you just pay it forward. So that's me. And so maybe Phoebe, we can kick off by maybe if you ask me some questions, and then we'll get the ball rolling.
Okay, sure, Darren. Okay, so we do have some questions from the parents, and I think one of the most common one will be why is motivation in home-based learning so different from school?
Well, we need to understand this, and this is the basics of motivation. Is this that different environments have different triggers that trigger us to prime us to do certain activities. For instance, school, the act of going to school itself, there are many actions that are done that actually trigger the student's heart and mind to be focused to study. But the home, on the other hand, the it's talks about comfort, it talks about love, it talks about a safe haven, or better still now, play. And so the triggers that are set up at home actually trigger the mind and the for the child to actually to be not focused on study, but to very, very different objectives and actions. And so that's why it's so difficult. And that's the big difference. In school,
Mm,
the triggers are set up for study, by home is set up to do something else. And so we need to understand that and work with those triggers, or to help our students focus at home, or repurpose triggers that at home to help them focus and the studies at home. Yes, and
mm.
so that's why it's so difficult. Over to you.
Yeah, so what do you think is like, so since it's so different, like what is the starting point of motivating our children? Like how do we start even
The
to do that? Because I think we're not used to doing it. We are used to like getting the teachers to do it, the school to do it, you know.
Yeah, and so now you realize the challenge. Well, if I can say this, the starting point for all of us here is to always believe in the best of your child. In other words, think of them as having the highest positive intention. In other words, they do want to study. They do want to do their very, very best. They do want to put in the work, and they want to do well in their studies. I think we need to frame our minds with this idea and hold it as we relate and communicate with our children. And some of you are shaking your head right now. I don't know. I can't see you, but I think you are in disbelief. What do you mean he wants to do his best? I see him playing games whole day. Every time in front of home-based learning, he's talking to his friends at the side and not focusing his drawing on the screen, and then the teacher is scolding them all the time about paying attention and all that. He doesn't seem to want to study. What do you mean he wants to study? If I don't scold him, he wouldn't focus on his studies. Well, how has your scolding helped him? Uh, you got him to do something for short term, but did it carry on? And so we need to understand this, that our response in all communication is this. All communication produces a response. And so we need to understand this. What you believe will determine how you communicate. Well, I'm going to share my screen and show you this diagram. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. I wonder how many of us have come across the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, let me give you the background to this research. Everything is research-based. Okay, so there's these two researchers. The main one is Rosenthal. What they did was this: they went into a school and they gave IQ tests to the students, and I believe it was a primary school. And after giving the IQ test, they divided the class into two lots, and they told the teachers that, okay, this class is the lower performing one, and the next class is the higher performing ones. And so the teachers taught them. After 3 months, what happened was this: they went to test the learning of these students, and they found that for the class that was the lower performing one, they did not quite learn much. There wasn't much improvement. But for the one that was deemed to be higher performing, they actually grew in their learning. And but there was a trick to this. First and foremost, they did do the IQ test, but they did not allocate the students to a lower class or a higher class. They
Mm,
were they were all randomly assigned. So the only difference was this teacher effect. That means the teachers going into the class believed that it was a lower class or believed that it was a higher performing class. Can you imagine? So this teacher goes into the class, or in her mind she thinks that, oh, these are people who are lazy, these are people who are not interested in study, they won't be able to do well. And so when she explains or teaches and the students do not get it, she loses her patience quickly and she increases her tone, she scolds them, she gives up, and the things that she does, and she doesn't teach effectively. But on
mm,
the other hand, or on the other class, when the students do not get it yet, the teacher is thinking, oh, they are actually very exceptional students, so perhaps it's me, I'm not teaching well enough. And so she puts in more effort.
mm,
When they don't get it, she doesn't lose her patience. She says that, oh, eventually they will get it, and because it just takes time. And so she tells herself this, and so her tone, her mannerism, her body language, everything that goes into it, actually believing that they are actually good students. And so that was the difference. The teacher effect makes the difference. And so likewise, parent effect also makes the difference. How you viewing your child right now. And so when we believe in the best of them, that they really want to do their very best, and we see them lazy, or we see them distracted, not focused on the studies, then we need to ask ourselves that question: what is the obstacle? What is stopping them from doing their very best? And so we will deal with what is the obstacle, rather than dealing with them not wanting to study.
mm,
So that is the best frame that we can have. That's a starting point. And I hope that this has helped you a little bit. And think about how have you been approached? How have you approached your your children? I understand you are working from home as well. You're under a lot of pressure. When we are sometimes, even before this period, we do come home tired, and then we have to tutor our kids, help them in the homework, and we are tired already. Maybe that day got scolding from the boss or whatever. Things didn't go so well, and then we lose our patience,
yeah.
and and then we start getting we start to scold. We start to say things that we don't mean, like, why can't you get it, don't be stupid, and these things negatively affect the student,
Yes.
the child. And
Mm,
so we and then we start to have this belief that they will not want to do well unless we scold them. And so that's not the best frame. So think about that uh as a starting point. Yeah.
mm. I think
Think
this
of
is
them.
so good because I
Yes.
can totally relate to it. Like when I see that when I think that my students are lazy, I will just like want to scold them. But if I think that they are really hardworking and they want to try their best, I will want to look and be resourceful about how I can teach them differently, and of course being more patient with them. So I think that is very, very true, and as a teacher I can totally testify of that. So to but looking at it more practically, I mean, like sometimes students, they are not motivated, and but we do need to get them to study. So how do we handle students and kids who are not in the mood to study when they have to do it but they don't? Do you have any practical advice? Like, yes, the mindset is important, but in actions, how can we help them?
Well, thank you for that question. So I think this was one of the questions that was asked by one of the parents beforehand. Well, how to talk to our student if he doesn't seem to be in the mood? How to get them to study? Well, I'm going to show you another diagram, and I'm going to talk with that diagram.
Mm,
And so you see here that this is our iceberg, and we understand this, that what you see above ground is above the water level is just only 10% perhaps of the entire iceberg. That's why we say it's the tip of the iceberg. The bulk of it is underneath what we don't see. What I'm trying to explain here is this: what you can observe, what you can see on the surface is observable are the results, the actions, the behaviors that your child does. So he looks moody, he seems lazy, he seems distracted, he seems unmotivated. And so we need to ask ourselves this question. So what are we not seeing? What's the meaning of the behavior, actions, and results in front? And so that we can see. So if we look underneath, what's not observable to us are this thing called emotions. It's not observable to us. Perhaps that day something has happened in school that put him in a mood, not in the best frame or best mood. I had to coach students who were bullied in school, and so they were in this. Uh, they they just can't concentrate on their studies because they feel hurt, they feel they're insignificant, they feel that they are not good enough. There are thoughts as well. Thoughts is and beliefs are quite related. Is what's going on in the mind? What is he thinking or saying to himself? You and I, we talk to ourselves all the time. There's an inner voice that speaks to them, and usually for children is this they learn these voices. First, it starts off as something was said to them from the outside, until they internalize those voices, until it becomes their own. For instance, if someone of authority figure do say something to them, like you will never make it. It does stay with us, and many of us as parents also, we had to fight that throughout our lives as well. The whole idea that we're not good enough and we cannot make it. And the reason why children take it so hard is this: because we say young minds are impressionable, and it's not just impressionable for the good things, also impressionable for the bad things. You see, let me say this: when they look, and when let's say daddy tutors the boy for maths, and the boy doesn't seem to get it, and then the daddy is so tired already and lose patience, and then he says something like, you will never get it one. No matter how hard I try, you never get it one. It's said out of frustration, it's said out of anger, and you probably in another time, another place, you will never say it. But yet, for the child, he doesn't think like, oh wait, daddy is human. Wait, daddy is tired. Daddy kinda scolded by boss at work, and so now it's not me, it's daddy in a bad mood. They don't think that like that. They internalize it and say, I'm at fault. I'm the problem. Must be the one that makes daddy angry. And so they internalize these voices in their head, and this become like the filter in which they look at life. They look at challenges in life. I cannot make it, or I'm not good enough. So these are the beliefs and things that they have acquired over the last couple of years. And I've dealt with a lot of students who have these negative beliefs, and when they actually vocalize it, it's like, no, why would you think like that of yourself? But there is always a backstory to it. There's always a history towards why they believe like that, and it was legitimate at a point of time. Okay, so the memories, the learning as well. And so what we need to do, back to that question, is I know I've over explained this, but because these are the background to help us. Okay, so this boy is not in the mood to study. So rather than shouting at him and scolding him and threatening him, or better, we reward him and say, okay, you go and study. I give you iPad time 3 hours. We try to reward him and all kinds of stuff. Maybe we should ask ourselves, what is the meaning of this mood? What is the mood, this moodiness saying to me? What's going on? How can I sift out? How can I draw out what's going on in his head? What is going on in his mind? Yeah. And so that should be the starting point. Asking ourselves, okay, let's sit down and ask ourselves. And so I anticipate the second question is this, follow-up question is this. And so uh, we if we do more of the same, I'm like, no, I don't care. You just have to suck it up and go and study. I don't care what happened. They're gonna lose trust in us. They're gonna become resentful of because they are not heard. They are not their innermost pain and is not addressed. And so that is not the best behavior. They might compel, feel, do it at a point, but it's a short run. It will not go on for a long run. When you're no longer there, they're not going to be motivated. And even if they are there doing their work, it's not the best effort as well. And so this is not the best thing. But what I suggest is this: there needs, again, I talk about environment. If the environment is at home, is a place where it's not conducive for conversations, then we need to go to a place where there are no triggers there. You can be very, very surprised if some of us growing up at the dinner table, while I mean the times where we still had dinner together, where the conversations have not been pleasant, uh, the dinner table becomes a trigger for unpleasantness, a memory of unpleasantness. And so while we go there, where we sit down, we actually unconsciously, we are actually prime ourselves to expect, or we look for the negativity, we look for the unpleasant things that can happen. And so we will read into situations, and so that, it confirms our story. It confirms what we think in our head, that, oh, I'm going to get it this time. Okay, it always happens here at this dining table, and so I'm going to get it. And so, to be honest with you, if that is the case for us, I mean, if it's unpleasant, the study table for them has been very unpleasant because you have always looked over their shoulder with a rotan or whatever, and or scolding or put downs or whatever. I think that's something that we need to break those triggers there. But one thing that you need to do is that go to a neutral place where you can have conversations, where everything is light and relaxed, and where people are not, where the children and you are not triggered, uh, angry, stern or whatever. It's just lighthearted and relaxed. And then in those situations, then that the conversations can be more honest. Okay. And so, and of course, sometimes when children get honest and says, I hate maths, for instance. I mean, that is very honest. I mean, for them to say that, and our immediate reaction is what? How dare you say that? How can you? You hate maths, then you fail maths, then you become road sweeper. And I don't know. That one it stuck in my head because I was told that before. In any case, don't worry, I'm not a road sweeper. In any case, how do you respond to them, even when they say something provocative? Because that will determine how the conversation is going to go. Are they going to clam up and not say anything? And so we will never get into the below the surface and find out what's really going on there. What's powering up all this mood? What is this powering up this distractions and this demotivation? Okay, so if I can show you the next diagram, just to be clearer a little bit. If we look at them and we see them unmotivated, okay, for whatever reason, moody lah, tired lah, distracted, or whatever, they appear unmotivated. Okay, what's going on? There can be fear in their life. Fear of failure, fear of teacher, don't dare to ask questions in class. I've encountered many students like that. They do not understand the lessons, but they do not want to ask questions. So they pretend to know, but they actually don't know. Okay, so they have fear, uncertainty, clarity. You see, the thing about motivation is this: we must assume that all of them want to do well, but they just have not discovered the right strategy. And so they're uncertain or about the strategy, the right way of doing things. And so it's about a process of discovery. And I'm going to get to that because that's about self-motivation. The whole learning is supposed to be discovery, and the best thing is self-discovery, right? Limiting beliefs, again, is a history of what was said to them, or how they come to hold on to certain belief that can be outrageous, that doesn't apply anymore, but they still hold on to it. Or purpose, they don't see the big picture of why I should do this. They lack self-confidence. A lot of people who are being bullied, either at home or in school, lack a lot of self-confidence. And the self-talk is always put down. No longer from outside in, they put themselves down. And resentment, of course, when they rebel against their parents. Okay, because you say, I just don't do it. I want to say this, that many of you have teenagers, and in our mind is this, that teenagers, mommy daddy no longer important, their friends are more important. Okay lah, so Cold War or don't talk anymore is the norm. Don't believe that. That's your limiting belief. I believe that daddy and mommy can continue to be the teenagers' best friends, that you can have this conversation, relationship with your children, and they will share and trust you. They will share you anything. It's only when resentment comes in, that's where the drift, the cracks are there, and then you drift apart, and they just don't want to share anymore. Let me ask you this question: can your child at this point of time share with you anything whatsoever in the heart? Because one thing is that, what do you do if they're sharing? Do we put them down and scold them and say like, lama, don't be stupid lah, don't think like that? Or is it safe to share what's in the heart, even though it may not be the most logical thing or useful thing?
Yeah.
Do you affirm them as person, even though you might not really like what they are saying? And so that's important as well. So all these things are underneath. Unless you have that open relationship with them, safe relationship, they will not be able to share this with you. And therefore, the door to motivation between you and them is closed. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that answers a bit. Perhaps we want to go to the next question.
Okay. So just now you mentioned a little bit about self-motivation. I think one of the parents actually indicated a question that is related to that. She says that how to make a child understand that to achieve, they need to work extra hard, work extra from the schoolwork, and that simply following school program is not sufficient.
I love that question because it gets to self-motivation. This is what it's all about. I remember myself, I wasn't doing very well in school. We're all students before, right? And then one day I discovered a higher purpose, a reason to study, way beyond what I'm told to do. So I moved from I have to do this to I want to do this. And after that, the sky was the limit. And I graduated from university, from NUS, as the top in my course. And so therefore, I when it comes to motivation, I love to talk to students and seize that out of them, not wanting to impute to them, compel them to do what I want them to do, but for them to discover for themselves what they want to do, because the energies behind self-motivation, wanting to do what they want to do, is far exceed what we can make them do. Can you imagine your son, as motivated as playing computer game, right? Today he play computer game, from school, come back, play computer game, and then you call him, come for dinner. He say, no, wait. And so it takes a long time to come for dinner. But can you imagine he's studying and you say, hey, come for dinner, and says, Mom, wait, I want to study some more. Wow. I think you prefer that one rather than the computer game thing. But that's about self-motivation, where you're no longer there. He is, I don't mean you're no longer there as in you disappear from his life, but you can't be with him 24/7. Even though you're not there, he or she is still motivated. He's still studying. He's doing his own thing. He's reading beyond the syllabus. Whoa. He is doing on a journey of discovery, beyond what the school is teaching him. I mean, this is beautiful, and this is something that we want. And so I want to share with you a diagram again. Very interesting diagram, and I hope you can see this. Think about this. there are two kinds of rewards. One is called intrinsic and one extrinsic. Extrinsic means it comes from outside, outside in. The other one is from inside out. So let's focus on the extrinsic reward first. First of all, money. I don't know how many of you use money to bribe your children to study. I increase your pay, your pay, sorry, your allowance, your allowance. If you do well, you get this grade for your exams or whatever. And they're like, wow, you only make them more money face. But in any case, it's only sustainable when you keep on doing it. But if you stop doing it, how? No more money, how? Don't do it. How about even grades? If they are just motivated to do study because of getting the grades, then if they got the grades already, would they still be motivated to study? Okay, this is what we call the fixed mindset. So they are doing it to get the grades. So once they achieve the grades, there will be no more motivation. Yeah. How about exams? Or only study because of exams? Well, maybe acceptable for us parents. Just do well in exam can already. After that, your own problem. And so when they go to work, no more exams. How? When they go to army, those boys, no more exams. How? So are they motivated in life? So what are they going to pass on to their children also, right? Career. See, I heard a lot of children. I asked a lot of children, why do you want to study hard? Oh, because I can get a good job. What job is that? I don't know. Just get a good job. Who tell you this one? My mother. And so, a lot of times they are doing it because they have to, told to them to do it. And of course, the last two you can see here, praise and punishment. Punishment, we understand, right? The rotan or the scolding or whatever is there to kind of compel them to study. Or praise. A lot of us think that, yeah, we should praise. I think if they are living for your praise, that means they're doing it to make you happy. So can you be happy all the time? No. So if you're not happy, then they lose their motivation, right? And you're not going to be there all the times. And so if they are just living for your praise, then it's very short-lived. Okay, so we do not want them, while it's good for short term, that's not the most sustaining way. But look on the intrinsic side. If you can imbue in them a sense of achievement that, yes, there's a pride there. I did it. I achieved this. I can become better. I'm not at my full potential yet. Now I'm 6 upon 10. I believe I can be 10 upon 10. Curiosity is that the whole thing about learning is this. When you're curious, by the way, Brain Matter's motto is what? Enter curious, leave what?
Inspired.
Leave inspired, enter curious. So we're trying to get the children to be curious. That means it is driven from inside out. I want to learn. I want to find out about things. The teacher is teaching this, but this is so interesting. I'm going to do my own reading. I want to find out more. I'm not going to just be happy with the syllabus, primary Sec 1 syllabus. I'm going to read up more. Interest and learning as well. Meaning and fun. So one of the reasons why computer games are so powerful for them is the meaning and fun thing. I had this parent who come to me and says, please, can you help? My son is not motivated. I said, what do you mean? And she said this, every time he come back from school, the first thing he does is go and switch on the computer. And he played a computer game for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, I look at her and say, that doesn't sound to me like not motivated. He sounds very motivated, just not motivated at studies. He's very motivated at the computer game. And then we have to ask ourselves, first of all, what about the computer game that's so fun and so meaningful for them, which the studies are not giving them? Because when we understand what is the draw, then we can repurpose the meaning of studies to include these things that help them be as motivated for their studies. And so, more or less, I know parents also play computer game. I see all the people, chase Pokemon one. all adults, no children, no kids, only adults and old people. But what's the meaning? There is a challenge. There is levels that they can go up, and they feel a sense of achievement when they achieve those levels. Obviously, when you're not good at a computer game, you won't be playing for hours. Is that right? I mean, after a while, say, I'm hopeless, I give up. But because they can advance in levels, they gain powers and all that, they feel a sense of achievement, of pride. They feel, yes, I can go for the next level. I can beat the big boss, and so likewise, think about our studies. Do we give them a sense of achievement? Do we you know, but they go at, for instance, mathematics. Phoebe is a mathematics teacher, so she understands this a lot. That a lot of students, they 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 don't do very well in mathematics. And okay, let me tell you this story, since it's so interesting to me. How many of you know that in America there's a stereotype that Asians are very good at maths? And I'm not waiting for an answer. So there's a stereotype in the US that Asians are very good at maths. So they look at you and they say, "Oh, Asian, so you must be good at maths." And of course, the US people are hopeless at maths. And the reason is this: because when they do maths, they give up too easily. They give up too fast. They say, "I can't do this. I'm useless. Or I'm not good at maths. I can't do it." And so they give up. But for Asians, what happened is this: we kind of make our students, stay longer at doing it. And because they stay longer at doing it, eventually they do get it. It's all about being focused. It's all about staying on the problem longer. And then eventually you get it. And when you get it, you feel this sense of achievement. And then you spur you on to do some more. And so that is why Asians are better at maths than the US. And so let me say this, that so how can we help them find this sense of meaning and fun in what they are studying? You know, we can say, Phoebe opened this session by saying that, we expect the school to do everything. But I think the best students are not determined by school. It's determined by home. It's not MOE, it's HOME. Okay, so whatever happened at home, don't hands off their learning, their study. Help them find meaning in what they are doing. I have two siblings that was coaching. When I asked them, what do you want to do in the future? Because they don't seem very focused or concentrated in their studies. And so when I talked to them, you know what they said? You all will find this familiar because some of your children will talk like that. I want to be YouTuber. I want to be YouTuber, right? And so when you hear your child say YouTuber, what is your immediate reaction? Of course, some of us got a sense of humor. We laugh, ha 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 ha. You must be a joke, right? or we get upset and says like, what? You think what? All YouTuber can make money? Don't be crazy, just don't be stupid. You just study, just study. And so we actually kill their dreams. And so they become resentful, and then they're all more determined to become YouTuber. But I just asked them the question, so how are you going to be a YouTuber? What does it take to be a YouTuber? When they try to tell me, and they start to realize that they don't know enough about how to be a YouTuber. And then they realize that they have a lot of knowledge gaps. And then I start to tell them, so how would the subjects you're learning right now help you? For instance, your English, how about maths? And start to ask them, if you can do well in these subjects, next time you can be the best YouTuber. And they start to realize they find meaning, in what they're doing. In order to be a YouTuber, they need to do well in their studies. And doing well in their studies actually give them more options. And no, don't worry about it. We're not condoning them being YouTuber. If I coach your students, don't worry, I won't make them become YouTubers. But the point is this: as they become, as they mature, as they grow up, they will repurpose their what they want to do. This YouTubing thing is just a fad. This is just something nice to do at this point of time. Don't worry, they'll figure it out, right? But in the meantime, how can you use that to help them be focused in their studies? Okay, so find meaning and find fun. So the question is, only those that can come from within will be more sustainable and not limiting. And so our conversation need to be to understand this. Our conversations with to you want to help your children be self-motivated, you need to understand that you have to imbue intrinsic rewards in them, that they must come from them from within. All right, okay. So I hope that helps some of you. Perhaps we can take another question. Or you want to throw the question over to the floor?
We have a question. How do you know when to balance?
I need some elaboration. What do you mean by balance? Okay. Let me see whether I got your question correct. How do you know when to balance? Meaning that they are young, and so they may not understand fully some of the adult concepts that we are trying to share with them. Well, meaning that impose on them or allowing them to decide. Okay, one of the most, let me shut this down first. One of the most powerful things that you can do for your child is to help them have some kind of self-determination. If they can decide on the goals that they are going for and the steps to get there, the motivation will be there. So it's not something that you impose on them. I want you to do this, and this is how you're going to do it. But if they can own those actions, it'll be the most powerful. And I think one thing that we need to do is that we need to give our children credit. And I'm talking even about preschoolers and primary school students. Give them credit that they do understand what is going on. I hope that doing this home-based learning, this work from home-based learning thing, a lot of parents panic because it's like, I've never interacted with my children for so long before, and we are scared because it's going to be chaos. I'll be so triggered, every day and all that. But those parents who understood and this and actually speak to the children, they do understand what is the situation going on, and they will gladly take on responsibility to help out in the family. When you give them credit and says, hey, in this time it's going to be challenging for you and me, all of us as a family, and so it's but you can play a part, and your part is this, and and you'll be surprised that they actually, they will try their best. They do make mistakes, but will try their best even to do the chores around the house and to clear their toys and stuff like that. They are able to own actions and execute them because they want to, not because they have to, they're made to. And so we need to be able to have conversations with them. And the best thing is this, is help them, guide them through owning action. So it's all about how you talk now. It's not so much the content, but how you say it. I don't know how many of you here are in sales, right? The best salespeople don't tell you about the product. They let you talk first, right? And then after that, they use what you say, and to sell the product to you. Why? Because it sounds like it comes from you. This is what you want, and so and that's the art of EQ the emotional quotient, how you understand how and manage someone else's emotions and help them. And so as parents, we need to have EQ to be able to talk to the children such a way, lead them, guide them, direct them, and then let them own. Suddenly as though they like came out with it themselves. They are the ones that came out with the goals and the strategy of how to get there. And so the best thing is this, give them options, like, either for instance, study, This is one of the best, NLP way of talking to people. Do you want to finish your homework now or 15 minutes later? Do you realize the power of that? Because there's no option of not finishing the homework. Either you do it now or 15 minutes. So there's this element of choice. And so as long as the child like, oh yeah, okay, 15 minutes later, okay, you say one, you say 15 minutes later, and so what if you don't do it in 15 minutes? Okay, so I let you 15 minutes. So what will happen? What is the consequence if you don't do it? Don't finish your homework. Let them suggest it, and you'll be surprised when they come out with their own suggestion. Like, then I don't use the iPad, don't watch TV. I don't think they will say deduct allowance, but then let them come out with some options, and then they say, oh, okay, I think okay, sounds reasonable. Hey, good job. Wow. When people are like, good job, you come up with a good consequence. Okay, so you say one, so if you don't finish your homework today, this is the consequence. So and you realize this, that guess what? They will not do it. Sometimes, most of the time, they will not do it. And then, but what do? Instead, last time you get angry, like, I told you already, you don't do it, and then you scold. But how about now? It's like, there's no more anger, There's no parental anger now. It's like, what happened? Do you finish homework? No. Okay. What's the consequence? No iPad. Okay, you know yourself. Okay. Okay, no iPad. Smile. Okay, so there's no parental anger there. That means to them, it's like, it's coming from me. It's not my dad or mom scolding me, imposing this on me. It's coming from them. And so likewise, we can apply it for their studies, yeah. And so how to talk to them in such a way that they own the actions, they own the outcome. So usually in my coaching sessions, I ask the students like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are right now in your studies, in your ability or potential? Say, 5 or 6 lah. 5 or 6. So 5 or 6. Wow. Okay. Congratulations. You're somewhere. So they like, congratulations. They thought they're going to get scolding, but they never got scolding. So I said, okay, so you know yourself. So where do you want to be on a scale of 1 to 10? Where do you think you can be? I think I can do 9. I said, if you apply yourself in the next couple of months, where do you think you can achieve? I think I can achieve 7 or 8. And I affirm them for it. It's like, great. Wow. Okay. So you own it. So what does a 7 or 8 look like? It must be different from a 5 or 6, right? So 5 and 6, this is what you're doing. So 7 and 8 do what? Oh, what are you doing now? 5 or 6. I'm doing my homework half an hour a day, and then I get distracted for 2 hours, and then don't come back to it. Okay, so fine. Wow, like that also can get 5 and 6. So good. Oh, okay. So a bit of humor lah. But at the same time, so what will it take for you to do to get to 7 or 8? That means I need to be focused more, 1 hour, be able to do it and not get distracted. I said, wow, that sounds good. That sounds good. And at this point, I will come in with strategy to help them focus on the studies. For instance, I will suggest to them, like, let's think of a plan how to have your cake and eat it. The reason why you are distracted is because you find something very interesting to do, right? So why not do this? Why not in every hour you spend 10 minutes doing that thing that you like to do, and 50 minutes, 40 minutes on your studies, and take 5 minutes of rest or something like that. And then every hour just do that. You're like, oh yeah, can, why not? And so have their fix in that sense, 10 minutes. And so this is something that they need to agree on themselves, and then in the end they will execute it on themselves. But we also talk about consequences. So what if you don't meet those needs, meet the outcome? So we are outcome based. So this is what you want. If you don't, then you have faced the consequences, and there's no anger there. So they know it, they understand it. We give them credit, they will understand it because they own it. Okay, so I hope that that helped a little bit. Uh, I hope that helped a little bit. Okay, so maybe we take another question. So, what is the response phrase that parents can quickly use if we are caught in an awkward situation when the child's answer to our directions are smarter or wittier? How did they become smarter and wittier than you? Okay, well, in any case, then we as parents can handle the talk back is very good. Where did they learn that from? Interesting. A lot of things they don't learn from school. So where did they learn from? Okay, anyway, seems so easy for parents to just back off and keep quiet, but this obviously leads us to losing authority. So is there an interim response that can buy us time without losing the upper ground? Okay, so our fear is this, that we lose face in front of the children. And that's a very Asian concept, because we think that we lose face, we have to impose our authority. And so we use threats, we use increased voice and all that to try to get the upper hand. But this doesn't help. Yeah. Why not just acknowledge them? Say, wow, hey, you're so smart. You got great, you can be lawyer, or something like that, right? You know how to talk, you talk one, very good, very good. And so you want to be lawyer? Lawyer, you have to go law school, right? Go law school, you got A level, you need A level, right? A level, you know what grade you need? You can talk like that to them. So it's not so much combative with them. It's not, you don't use fighting words. You know what fighting words? Fighting words are like 劝打 one, like you see, you always don't listen to me one. This is not asking for resolution. This is asking for escalation. And so you never. Okay, those words, I know we use it on spouses all the time. You always, these are fighting words. They only escalate tension and escalate anger and all that. But so why don't we just flow with them? Just like, okay, you lawyer, you want to be lawyer, solid lah. So next time, anything happen, you can defend us, earn a lot of money also, right? So how to go law school? What's your grade? You need to go law school, not A level, AAA, or whatever lah. I don't know what's the grade now. And so, so how? Right now, do you think you can become lawyer? Oh, okay. So how? So you can be tongue in cheek with them lah. But at the end of the day, you understand that. So, and one thing that I want to recommend to the parents, I know the parents, not all of them got a sense of humor, right? But all of us have this thing called vulnerability. I don't know what's your background, your backstory is. Maybe we come from a family that doesn't admit weakness, never say sorry, type. But that's not the best frame. One thing that we can do for our children is this: become vulnerable. If we blow it, say sorry. When we lose our temper, we scold, we use words that we don't mean, apologize. And to tell them that, hey, daddy didn't mean it, I'm sorry, I was just so angry, there were many things going on in my head, in my mind, I'll be better, okay? I'm sorry. Because when they see that, they learn. It says, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. We don't have to be perfect all the time. And we can learn. And they see your example that you can improve and become better persons. Because the alternative is this: they always live in fear of us, and then they become resentful and they rebel. And they just do things because they don't want to do it. They just refuse to do it. Even if they are forced to do it, they'll just do it with a lot of resentment and not with the energy that is required. And so being vulnerable with our children is like, saying sorry is one thing, but I think one thing that we can do is have conversation and sit down with them and says, I want to be honest with you, daddy is actually worried about your studies. And the reason is this, because you don't seem to to do very well, and I'm thinking maybe perhaps I feel as a father. Wow. I mean, I'm sure those things do come into our mind. Uh, I mean, be vulnerable and says, what can you, tell me about what's going on there. Um, Share with me. They do not want to see us hurt. They don't want to see us in pain, and and when they see vulnerability, instead of walls going up, when they see vulnerability, they also can be vulnerable themselves, and they will share them like, yeah, that I'm sorry too. Um, I haven't really been focused and concentrating because I'm so afraid in school. The teacher, um, you know, or whatever situation in school, just makes me feel that I'm not good enough or whatever. And then he reveals to you the key to motivate him. It could be assurance because he lacks confidence or fear, and you can assure him and affirm him that you are with him. Yeah, and so this is what parents can do. It's not so much content. We love to have the magic pill. You eat already, wow, straight away motivated. But you know, we are the product of our own family. The communication, the relationships, the conversations that carry on. Even when some people say, "Oh, my family, no communication one." You know something? No communication is communication. What is your silence saying? If your son or daughter is just quiet, you ask anything? No. How's school? Nah. Nothing, nothing, nothing. What does that mean? What's that saying? They are communicating something. There's something going on underwater. The iceberg thing, what you can't see. And so, will you want to reach out? Will you want to? I mean, sometimes you are so busy and all that, But if they are our priority, then we would want to connect with them more resourcefully. Yeah. And so, what I'm saying is this: that conversation is very important. It's not the content. There's no magic one thing fix everything. It's how you do it, and we need to learn to how to the the way in which we communicate with our children. Are you always triggered? Are you always angry? Are you always impatient? Are you always using words that you don't mean? Or you come from the school of thought that you got to uh, shame them into doing well. You provoke them to want to show up. Like, hey, you never make it one. Then as though they're like, yes, I'll prove you wrong one day. No, I'll prove you wrong. I don't think it works, and they'll be scarred for life. Always trying to prove a point, and even in their adult life, and that's not the best, most resourceful way. And so, how are we going to do it? I think as parents, we need to understand ourselves. Okay, what's going on in our own mind? What do you believe about your child? What do you believe about their studies, their motivation, and how can we be patient? How can we, in the most loving and the most affirming way, to have conversations with our children? Yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. Maybe we can take one more question, because we're just a bit out of time. I hope this has helped you a while. So let's take one question, one last question. Phoebe, you have a question there that that speaks to you.
How to reason with children, especially the young ones, why they have to study, how to make study time something enjoyable, because I think a lot of kids are very addicted to that, gadgets and things like that. And gadgets is one of the concern of the parents.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Because we have a wide range of children here with different developmental abilities, from the really, really young preschoolers to primary school, secondary school. I don't know where I got JC people here, but in any case, what at their life stage, what is their ability? Obviously, you throw a big thick textbook at a preschooler, he's not going to enjoy it at all. And so we got to craft materials or craft learning according to their ability. And so for younger children, where they are more visual, they are more using their hands, moving things around, objects and all that, how can we craft lessons using that those items to do it? Okay, people say my children are always addicted to the gadgets. Guess what? Who is the source of those gadgets in the first place, right? So we give them gadgets to distract them. So we are the product of our own being, right? I'll just keep them quiet, just give them a gadget, so they can entertain themselves, whatever. And so, I mean, why are you surprised that they are so addicted to gadgets? Yeah, but what about the gadgets that are so enticing? And so, how can we reproduce them for learning as well? So it's not to just use gadgets, use more of the same. Can't win them, join them, that kind of deal. But how can we? So I like a lot of outdoor Z learning, because a lot of things that can be learned using outdoor objects, things that they can touch, they can feel, rather than just on a one-dimensional gadget, right? The screen, this and all that, where they can also learn to relate. I mean, one of the most important learning is social learning, where you learn EQ, which you don't get from gadgets, only come from interacting with other people. And so I love it, love learning where they can go out, they can meet people, they can spontaneously learn and become curious. That's why things like forest school, for instance, I don't know whether you heard of that concept, where the children go on some kind of hike through nature reserve, and then along the way, the instructor actually shows them interesting things about along plants, animals, and do interesting stuff. And some of them do, like, come from they a bit self-centered, and then they don't cooperate, and then they get into trouble or whatever. But then there is a learning point there, where we can talk about relationships, we can talk about what it means to give way to people, what it means to share, and so it's very, very powerful. So learning is on the spot. And so this is something that we have been missing. I hope that you, in this home-based learning, work from home, you have rediscovered learning on the spot. That means based on whatever is happening in front of you. You don't need a lesson plan. You just let life happen, and then learning happens there. Use everything as a teachable moment to teach some lessons. I think these are more powerful. Don't worry about the academics. If your child, let me say this, if your child learns self-motivation, learn how to relate socially, how to ask questions, learn how to motivate himself, right? He'll pick up the academics so easily. The academics is the easiest thing to do. So when he goes back to school after this home-based learning thing, I heard that after June, school will be reopened, right? So if he goes back to school and he picks up this skill of self-motivation, I tell you, he'll be streets ahead of all those struggling through home-based learning, kind of scolding, forced to do things, distracted and all that. So start now. I think in the next 1 month, if you set yourself a goal that you can learn to sieve out the motivation in your child, not by doing more of the same, by scolding, forcing and all that, but by talking, by sharing, by being vulnerable, by having these conversations with them about what they want, help them own their outcomes, own their actions plan. And of course, you being great salespeople yourself, know how to direct their answers, direct what they want as well. And so use the ingenuity of your wisdom of your parent as a parent to to direct your children to what they want, but actually is what you want. Huh? Okay, so I hope that helps. I think that's it. No other questions. We should end. But let me say this: that in this 1 month, I cannot. I mean, in this session, I cannot share with you all the advanced level things that we do to help students. But I want to be available to you for free. Okay, because in this time, it's a special, unique circumstance. I want to be able to help, and so I'm going to show you this. So I'm a coach. A coach is different from a counselor. A counselor deals with problems. A coach helps you become better at what you do. And so I want to be able to avail this to you, either your child or yourself, if you need any of this, because I recognize that while we try to help the children, the parents themselves go through a lot of challenges, especially now that home-based learning is going to end next Tuesday, right? And then you have to do work from home still. The kids just don't know what to do. So there are a lot of challenges. So if you like, reach out, schedule in for a session, we can talk, and hopefully it can be helpful to you. We will email all those who have given you your email addresses. We will email you the details, how you can, if you need these free sessions, how you can sign up. Okay, so I hope that you learned something today. It's been wonderful being here with you, because I always enjoy sessions where I can, hopefully make a difference with parents. Okay, so thank you very much for showing up.
Okay. Thank you so much, Darren, for your sharing. Yeah, and I think just want to encourage every parent to just really digest and try to apply. Maybe you may not apply everything, but maybe just 1 or 2 points, like changing your mindset towards your child, or trying to read into what their moodiness talks about, or being more vulnerable during this period of time. So just try to apply 1 or 2 points, and I'm sure that you'll be able to see some changes in your child. So thank you so much for attending and joining us once again. Yeah, we hope that everybody will stay safe and healthy. Okay, for Brain Matter, we are also actually offering some free clinics during these May holidays. So for more information, you can go to our website and our Facebook, social media, to just find out more about the math clinic, the science and English clinic. So we are actually offering it free to our parents as a way of supporting them, because we know that it is a very difficult period for everybody. So we just want to make our expertise be available to help support you during this period of time. Yeah, so we will email you also all the links to our social media posts as well.